What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Rogue One, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the different Walmart and Target exclusives for the Black Series Rogue One line. It's going to be a little bit different today. We're going to do a lot of comparing because we've already looked at these molds for the most part, with the exception of Casseon. So there's not a whole lot to talk about. We will obviously talk about everything, but there's not a whole lot new to kind of cover. So without much more lollygagging, let's get on our way. I will say I am super excited about this movie. This movie has a very different kind of Star Wars feel, and I couldn't be more excited. Even though I'm more of like my interest with Star Wars lies mainly with the Skywalker family and the Force users and so on. But even without the Force kind of being in this movie, I'm kind of really looking forward to it. I might be the only one in my family that is. At least it seems that way sometimes. Who's excited for Rogue One, guys?
Nope.
Whoopee. I don't care.
So we'll start out with Jen because we're just kind of get through her and move on. It's pretty much the exact same. I feel like the skin tone is don't get carried away, fellas. I feel like the skin tone, I don't know. I think it might be just my mind playing tricks with me. I think this one might just be closer to the light source. So these are pretty much exactly the same figure in all respects. I mean, even to the little gray stripe around the bottom, and it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is pretty much just a straight repack in order to flesh out the set. So yeah, there's not much here to discuss. You can watch my other video where I review this figure. This is pretty much them just getting over on you. And then next up, we'll do this Death Trooper. He comes with this extra piece of floating piece. Outside of that is the exact same figure as this one, down to the paint accents and everything. It's identical. So the only thing that's different, and that's going to be the only thing we talked about, even the accessories are the same to include that one little red stripe of paint right there. So it's identical. Is this soft floating piece of plastic here? It comes with the shoulder, the guard, and then this. It doesn't really sit as nicely on them as you would like it to. It kind of bunches up there at the top, so that's not ideal. But it's not the worst thing in the world either. It is sculpted well. It's a softer plastic. I wish it had a little bit more paint accents, but it may be pretty screen accurate, so I can't really hold that against them either. And it doesn't really get in the way of articulation due to the softer plastic. Everything kind of moves out of the way of the engineering of the figure, maybe with the exception of the head. Yeah, the head is the only thing that kind of loses out. And otherwise, same thing. So no need to continue talking about this one anymore. And then next up is the Scarif Trooper. And there's some difference here. This is the retail release. This is the Walmart exclusive. And there is a lot more paint. There's more wash, including a heavy wash of these angles here. There's a wash throughout the helmet. It's not really here. They went for this like dirt effect here, and they used that a little bit on here as well, down in there. A little bit too heavy down here on the boots, if you ask me. But it is interesting. It's like the same, like they went here, 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 and they went here, here, here. Like it's the same places that they hit. It's just the way in which they hit those places, so to speak. But there is a wash throughout, and like it looks like some dry brushing back here on the back, whereas here it's nothing. So there's a lot more paint on this one. It doesn't have the blue stripe either here, here, or there, and that's it as far as. Also, this has like a different blaster than this one does. This one has like a traditional Stormtrooper blaster with a couple paint accents. Actually, a fair amount of paint accents, like a little silver, 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 and this is an entirely different weapon. And then this has a different hip skirt here. So it's sculpted well, and this one is this longer coat. I wish they would have had a soft goods one of that. Let's check the articulation. T-joint and ball joints for his. We're just going to check the parts that are affected by this new piece. Still limited out to the side. These are actually much better than this. Forward and back, you get a great range. Forward, not much back, and that's pretty much the same here. So there's not a lot gained articulation-wise by this. It's just pretty much if you want a little bit of a different looking trooper of the Scarif variety. I really like the way these Scarif troopers look, so I'm in, but I guess if I had to recommend one, I'd probably recommend this one just because the paint is better, but this blue, I mean, they're both nice in their own way. They definitely know what they're doing in order to hustle you. Same skull. The only thing that's different is these skirts. And the skirts, even though it's less involved here, actually end up hindering the figure more. So that's fairly interesting. And then the only original figure in the set in terms of mold, which is Cassian. And even the head sculpts are different. If you look at the space between this eyebrow and that hair, and this eyebrow and that hair, it's actually, it might just be paint throwing me off. Yeah, they might be the same. I don't know, there's something that looks different to me. This head looks like a little bit more narrow than this one. These look like two different head sculpts to me. This one isn't as well painted as that one, but we'll talk about that now. So yeah, all this is, I've looked for like other uses. Like I can't find these exact pants. I can't find these exact this exact jacket. Even the sleeves, even though they're similar to the fin and to the Poe, they're different. So they might be retooling some of it, but either way, it is interesting that there's these little variations across the line, which I do appreciate. So let's talk about this figure, okay? Ball hinge head gets you up to there, down to there, and then the swivel unaffected by the coat. The face paint is kind of slopped on there to include the eyes. It's more so this facial hair that looks really bad, and it's funny, like the hair is actually sculpted on the face, but the paint doesn't follow the sculpt. So it just ends up looking messy. It ends up looking like a train wreck, to be honest with you. This isn't really well done at all. It's pretty poor. The jacket is nicely sculpted, and it hides all of the joint seams and stuff that you would want it to hide, so that works. We have silver paint there with turquoise paint. That looks good. Silver and yellow paint there. All that looks good. They even painted the buckles on the bottom of the jacket, so that's a nice touch that we don't always see Hasbro taking. It's a single ball joint for the waist, but you don't really get anything but the swivel out of it because it's a funky mold sculpt. So you don't really get any, side to side or back and forth. You just pretty much get the swivel, which is weird, and I don't care for that either. We have disc hinge shoulders that get you a little shy of 90 degrees out, and then the full swivel. And then we have an elbow swivel with a single hinge that gets you just about 90 degrees. I think we'll give it to them as tough as we're being on them at the moment. And then this lighter brown paint stripe down the arm. Wrist swivel and hinge in and out for a firearm. That is not my favorite way to do it. I think the firearm hand should be hinged up and down so that you can kind of hold the gun like this and this. Holding it back and forth this way usually doesn't do anything for me personally. Pose wise, maybe it does something for you. I guess maybe to bring a rifle across the chest, it could potentially help. This one, same thing. We have a hand that's kind of open. This is a trigger finger hand, obviously, so this can hold the bottom of a gun maybe, but not much else. That's not my favorite. I prefer posing hands. That's me. Moving down the figure, we have nice paint on the belt, both the brown and the silver. We have silver paint on this floating piece as well that is glued in both into the leg and possibly into the hip. Nope, just to the leg. And then silver paint on the little bullets across the straps. That all looks nice, and then this strap fits in well. We have a thigh swivel that is fairly unaffected by this floating piece that goes around it, so that's good. And then the thigh strap is painted. T-jointed ball joints for hips. They get you out to there and then forward and back to there. So not the best, but I'd say it's fairly good. I don't think you'd need anything more than that, honestly. And then the thigh swivel on this side works obviously as well. Double jointed knee, that gets you the full range on both sides. And then the wrinkles in the pants and like the seam lines in the pants, they're all sculpted, so it looks nice. It could have used a really light wash on it. It really brought out the depth of the sculpt, but I don't know. And then the feet, we have ball hinges, basically, or it's like hinged pegs, so you get an ankle tilt down to there, which is the full range, and then up to there, which is even kind of surprisingly nice. And then the buckle on the top of the boot is painted as well. Nice touch, and the way that it's applied gets you the ankle rocker. So no complaints with the legs, with the exception of a wash on the pants. And the last thing is this rifle. He can hold it. It comes in 3 pieces, which is kind of cool. I mean, maybe it's a part of the story. Obviously I haven't seen the movie yet, but maybe it's a part of the story that I just don't get yet. But it comes apart in 3 places. There's silver paint here, 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 here. So that's nice. But you can break it down if you want. You can take the end of it off, and then you can take this off. It's like a Han Solo blaster, and then that can fit in this bit of business there. And then you have these 2 pieces that are just left over. and I don't know what you would do with them. I wish there was a way that this was set up where these could integrate as well, but I don't see a way. And then there's no other place to kind of store them, so maybe this will make sense to me after I see the movie, but for right now it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It seems fairly strange, but it also seems fairly neat. So I'm curious to see if there's something else coming down the line that will better explain this, but for right now it seems very bizarre, and it seems like there's not a great way to incorporate all those accessories into the figure himself. So final thoughts wise, let's talk about the Walmart exclusive first, the Scarif Trooper. I think he's definitely worth it, 20 bucks. You get to troop build a little bit, and there's tons of paint there, and he looks cool. I think he's definitely worth it. The problem comes in, he has problems, he's a little bit less articulated and so forth, but I think most people just kind of pose their troopers standing looking cool. So let's talk about the target set, because that's more risky set. That's a pretty big investment. That's a $60 set. I got it on Black Friday for $40. For me, it was worth it. $60 is an awful lot to ask for this set. It's a Gen repack, so you don't need that. So now you're spending $60 for two figures you don't have. One of which you do have is just a different deco, but we all know how important different decos are for Stormtroopers when you're building Stormtrooper armies, so that sucks, but might be worth it. The casseon is a pretty cool figure. He's done fairly well, even though he has a lot of problems. Those problems are paint problems in the face. Those problems are sculpt problems with the torso and the way it's engineered. And then the rest of it kind of works. So this is how I ultimately feel about it. I recommend the Walmart exclusive, and I recommend you pass on the Target exclusive unless you don't have a Jinn or a Death Trooper. If you don't have either of those, then it's worth it. If you do, not worth it. Because Cassian is really just not that much to write home about. And who knows, you might see the movie and you might not even like the character. And now you spend 60 bucks on a character that doesn't really work that well and you don't even like him. So I don't think those sets are going to sell out. They're too expensive. You can still find the Riot Trooper and Poe Dameron sets floating around sometimes. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would wait and see how the movie is, wait and see how important the character becomes to you, and then make a decision based on that afterwards. And that decision is really either A, biting a bullet, or B, saving a buck. And that's what it comes down to. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.